Hi, Mr. Cifuentes. Good afternoon. This is Judge Alyssa Perez resuming the criminal docket for the 210th District Court for March 29th, 2022. All matters being heard today are being heard in accordance with all emergency orders and directives regarding COVID-19. In addition to that, we are streaming all matters live via YouTube for public viewing. Okay, I see. Is that Mr. Vidal? Let me go ahead and get the interpretation function going. All right. Okay, Mr. Marufalo, would you call our next case, please? And I don't hear you. So if you'll select English.
Give me a second.
Please, Center, if you will, make sure you get on the interpretation function. If you will select Spanish, please.
Sí.
Okay.
Sí, está bien. ¿Es que me quitaron la máscara? ¿Me quitaron la de cubrebocas o así está bien? Ok, no está bien.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Marufo, if you will please call it.
In cause number 2021-0D0-1696, State of Texas versus Jose Alejandro Vidal. Announcement, counsel, please.
King for the state of Texas.
Mr. Frog, on behalf of the defendant, Mr. Vidal. Good afternoon, Your Honor. I'm sorry I'm late.
No worries. And do you see your client, Mr. Rago, appearing from the police center?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay, and Mr. Vidal is appearing remotely from the police center. He is also utilizing the assistance of a court interpreter. Sir, would you state your name, the court interpreter? Would you state your name for the record as well?
Soy José Vidal.
Thank you very much. Mr. Vidal, this is Judge Perez. I'm going to be asking you some questions regarding your plea today. So I need to swear you in. If you would please raise your right hand. Sir, do you swear or affirm that any testimony you provide will be the truth and the whole truth?
Claro que sí, será el oro.
Thank you very much. You can put your hand down. Would you state your name for the record?
José Alejandro Vidal.
Mr. Vidal, as I mentioned, I'm going to be asking you questions, first of which about documents you may have reviewed with your attorney. First, State's Exhibit number 1. Those are the plea papers in this case. Within that document, you're guaranteed certain rights, including the right to remain silent, the right to trial by jury, the right to counsel, the right to confront and cross-examine witnesses, and the right to call witnesses on your behalf and in your defense. Mr. Vidal, do you recall reviewing State's Exhibit number 1 with your attorney and signing that document?
Sí.
Did you understand everything contained within that document?
Sí.
Mr. Rago, have you had more than 10 days to prepare a defense in this case?
We have, Your Honor.
And did you explain the plea papers to your client?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you believe he has understood the admonishments, rights, and consequences of giving up these rights by entering a plea today?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Mr. Vidal, are you satisfied with your attorney's representation of you?
Claro que sí. Sí.
Mr. Rago, do you have any reason to believe your client is not presently competent to enter a plea?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Vidal, have you ever been found incompetent by any court?
No entiendo.
Has a doctor or psychiatrist ever found that you are mentally unable to handle your personal affairs?
No.
Has a doctor or psychiatrist ever found you mentally ill?
No.
Okay, so based on your testimony, your attorney's representations, and my observations of you, I'm going to find that you are competent to enter your plea today. Sir, are you a U.S. citizen?
Sí.
Where were you born, sir?
El Paso, Texas.
Okay. In this case, you are charged by indictment with the offense of assault, family violence, impeding breath or circulation. To that charge, sir, what is your plea? Guilty or not guilty?
Culpable.
Are you making your plea freely and voluntarily?
Sí.
I will find you are making your plea freely and voluntarily. Ms. King, would you summarize the evidence, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Were the state to proceed to trial on the indictment, the state would have proven each and every elements the offense charged: assault, family house member, impeding breath or circulation beyond a reasonable doubt. Judge, the defendant is pleading to 5 years of deferred adult probation, no contact with the complaining witness, and other terms and conditions stated on the state's plea paperwork. And at this time, the state moves to admit Exhibit 1 as the state's plea paperwork, Exhibit 2, Article 3914 disclosures, and Exhibit 3 as an indictment.
No objection, Your Honor.
Without objection, states exhibits 1, 2, and 3 are admitted. Mr. Rago, is that your understanding of the plea agreement?
It is, Your Honor.
And Mr. Vidal, was that your understanding as well?
Sí.
Understand that the plea agreement is not binding on the court. However, if I were to reject it, I would allow you to withdraw your plea. If I follow the plea agreement, you may not appeal this case except on matters raised by written motion and ruled on before trial or by permission of the court. The next document I'm going to ask you about is the one-page document entitled "The Trial Court Certification of Your Right to Appeal." It is a document that explains your appeal rights. Because this is a plea bargained or negotiated case, you do not have an automatic right of appeal. Mr. Vidal, do you recall reviewing the trial court certification with your attorney and signing that document?
Sí.
Okay, signed by your attorney, it was signed by me as well. And finally, the last document I'm going to ask you about is the motion for deferred adjudication. Mr. Vidal, you recall reviewing the motion for deferred adjudication and signing that document?
Sí.
Mr. Rago, have you explained to your client both the benefits and detriments of deferred adjudication?
I have, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Vidal, do you understand that if you violate a condition of deferred adjudication, the court can proceed to sentence you up to the full range of punishment for this offense? Do you understand that?
Sí.
And are you asking the court to grant you deferred adjudication?
Sí.
Okay, I will find there is sufficient evidence to substantiate a finding of guilt. However, I will not enter a finding of guilt at this time. Instead, I will defer further proceedings and place you on community supervision pursuant to the plea agreement for a period of 5 years. There will be a $4,000 fine. Mr. Rago, are you retained or appointed?
This was appointed, Your Honor.
Okay, so I'm going to probate the entirety of the fine due to his indigency. Mr. Vidal, what that means is you will not owe the fine unless you are not in compliance with your probation, in which case they can come collect the entire fine. 300 hours of community service. You are to attend VIP class, screen through TAP. You will have a curfew, court cost. There is a family violence finding. You're to have no offensive contact with the complainant. I understand there will be dismissals in some misdemeanor cases, 2021-0C0-2097 and 2021-0C0-2095. Is that correct, Ms. King?
Yes, Your Honor. That is correct.
Okay, so those will go to the appropriate court. Is there anything further, Ms. King or Mr. Rago?
Nothing further from the state, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good luck to you, Mr. Vidal. Thank you, Mr. Rago. If you don't have anything else, you're excused.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thanks, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Tengo una pregunta.
Thank you, Mr. Cifuentes. And I think that's everything from the police center, correct?
Sí.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Mr. Vidal, question? Attorney is gone.
Sí, entonces no podré vivir en la
Go ahead,
casa con mi
Mr.
esposa y mis hijos.
Vidal.
Tengo que salir de la casa o
I'm not aware of any protective order. The only order that attaches to your probation at this time is no offensive contact with the complainant.
no. Ok, no está bien.
Okay, if you have any other questions, I'll refer you to your attorney, okay?
Sí. Ok, muchas gracias.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Police Center. And we can get off of YouTube.